Good morning, friends. My name is Suneet, and welcome to the next episode of CricVidya's IPL podcast series, where we analyze various teams and try to predict the strongest starting 11 for each team. Today, we will be looking at Kolkata Knight Riders, that is KKR. As you know by now, in our podcast, we also invite cricket experts and fans from Twitter and ask them to help us with this analysis. So today, I'm joined by Balaji, who is our permanent guest for this series, and Abhinav, who goes by on Twitter as at the rate Abhinav underscore K316. Welcome to both our guests and hope you're doing fine. Hi Bala, hi
Hi
Abhinav.
Suneet.
Yeah,
Hi
hi,
Suneet.
hi.
Pleased to be here.
Great.
Same here,
So,
same here.
so today we are looking at KKR, and I hope you guys are ready with your 11. Uh,
Yes.
I think we'll start then, and we'll start by looking at the top order batsmen. So,
Okay.
Bala, maybe you can start that who will
Yes,
be your top three batsmen for KKR?
yes. The much awaited opening slot Gill is going to get this season, and all eyes will be on him. So I won't stop him from opening in my team at least, and that's how KKR also will be looking to go. So Gill and Narain will open, so that Gill can take the anchor role, and Narain, as usual, can do the pinch hitter role. So that will be my top two, and at number three I will play Rahul Tripathi. But same like Rajasthan, as I said, he will be like a floater in my team, like how Uttapa was in for Rajasthan in my team. That's how Rahul Tripathi will be. So top three as of now will be Gill, Narain, and Tripathi. So that Gill will give stability and already touted to be the next big thing. And Narain, as usual, goes about his business by slogging and clearing the field. And Tripathi can give me that extra batting depth. That's how my top three looks.
Got it. So you are very interested in having a floater always in your team, right?
Yes, that's how it should be actually. See, when you look at successful teams, Mumbai Indians, let's take for example, Krunal Pandya is almost used as an floater in the team. He usually comes at number five, and they keep Pandya and Pollard for slog overs. So he's kind of a floater. So that's how team should work. And when you take a successful franchise like CSK from 2008 to 13 or 14, they had Badrinath all the way through. Even though he wasn't a prolific scorer or something like that, he used to do the job when needed. That's used to rescue the team, when they are in precarious situation. So floater will always complete a T20 lineup. That's how I feel.
Okay, got it. Abhinav, what will be your top three?
I will go for the same top three, but I'll just flip the order around. I'll have Tripathi open with Narayan. In fact, I'll have Tripathi going in with Narayan because I think I want Tripathi. I subscribe to Balaji's theory of having Tripathi as the floater, but I feel somebody like Gill would be the perfect number three who will be able to anchor the innings and be that the pivot to the middle order, because otherwise and he'll be a perfect bridge to the top and the middle order, because I think Tripachi's best use can be as a top order batsman, and he can, and his role is one that can be that he can flexibly work around with whatever he has. If KKR wants to move, not have the party open, he can come down at three or wherever the side needs him to bat, because he can do that job quite well. And what I was saying is that the best T20 teams are the ones that have maybe five bowlers, all of whom can give 4 overs, maybe four good batsmen, inclusive of a keeper, or whether or keep the keeper separate, but have that one player who's a floater who can come wherever the team needs him to come in and do the job that the team has asked him to do. So all the good T20 teams in the world have done that. Mumbai does it with Krunal Pandya, and CSK had a Badrinath. KKR in the good old days had Ryan Tendulkar doing that job for them. In the two title winning sides that they got in 2012 and 2014, Ryan Tendulkar was used as that floater who could come in wherever the team needed him to come in and do the job for them. So I think that the good T20 teams are the ones that can have that degree of flexibility in how they approach the game. And so here Rahul Tripathi would be that a floater who can open the innings if need be with Narayan, or maybe come in at number 3 or wherever the team needs him to come in. But for the purpose of my team, because I would want Gill to be that anchor of the linkman between the between the top two and the middle order. So I would have Gill batting at 3.
Got it. So I actually uh, made two teams, and because you two are going for the combination of my other team, I'll propose uh, a different idea. I'll say I'll have Banton opening with Narayan, and then
Okay.
I have Gill at 3. So that is what I am proposing.
That's an interesting one, actually, because what Banton would do is that he'll give you unmitigated power at the top of the order, and we've seen how fearsome he can get to striking a cricket ball in the T20 blast. He got what I think 549 runs at a average of close to 50. I think it was 48 or 49 his average, and his strike rate was a phenomenal 161.5. So that is, and then that got him a big bash league contract, and he in the 8 matches that he played, he again did really well over there as well. So and he plays spin quite well. So I
Yeah.
think, and because the UAE pitches will have, because it's just 3 grounds that they'll be playing the games in each, and so the pitches are inevitably going to get tired. So and it'll take spin. So Bantam's threat will get even bigger in those games.
Yes.
So I think that your idea is a pretty sound one, in fact, as well. Sunil.
Yeah. So let's first go to the middle order. So
Hmm.
Bala, who will be in your middle order from 4 to 7, let's say?
Yeah, so I will bet my life on this 4 to 7 and to chase down any target, and probably the best 4 to 7 any team has in IPL. Like 4 5, 4 is Rana, 5 is Morgan, 6 is DK, 7 is Russell. Not necessarily Russell will bat at 7, but this whole players, whole set of 4 to 7 can bat anywhere between 4 to 7. So this is how my skeleton looks. But just for the sake of saying, I will say Rana at 4, Morgan at 5, DK at 6 and 7. But I will bet my life to ask this team to chase down any target, and the best 4 to 7 any team has in IPL. This is no brainer.
Yes, I would probably agree. Uh, but we'll first finish the teams and then probably discuss. So Abhinav, what would be your 4 to 7?
Yeah, I'll agree with Bala. I'll go with the same 4. So Rana 4, Morgan 5, DK 6, Russell 7. But and Russell will be that floater. Russell will again be floating. So depending on what the situation is, if the team maybe batting first is already maybe around 13 overs have gone, and they are 130 for maybe say 130 or 140 for 2, Russell immediately walks in at number 4 for me. He'll immediately walk in at number 4, and in the last 6 7 overs he'll just take the bowling apart at his own will, and go and finish the innings off. And if we are chasing, and if it's a tough situation, and we're needing to win, if KKR needs say 45 runs in the last 20 balls, and they have lost, maybe they have only 7 wickets in hand, Russell again comes up. So Russell again will work as a floater in this batting order for me. He can float anywhere between 4 to 6, depending on what the situation is going to be like.
So Russell would actually always come in when the asking rate has become, let's say, 14 and above.
Yes, Russell is that sort of a guy who will come in with, I mean, cards are down, and do the same job that he was doing last year, chasing targets from impossible positions. I mean, we saw what he did at Bangalore to RCB, what he did to Sunrisers Hyderabad. He'll do that job once again for KKR in this side.
Got it. So for me, I think because I've taken two overseas players at the top, I would not be able to take Morgan. So my 4 to 7 will be Rana, DK, Tripathi here at the finish level, and Russell. So again, as you guys said, the Tripathi for me will be a kind of a floater, and but he will not start at the top. For me, he will start at the lower middle order, and I'll use him wherever I require. So that finishes our top seven, and now let's move on to the bowlers. Bala, your bowlers.
Yeah, I will have Cummins at 8, who's a decent batsman as well. So that
Who?
can give the Cummins.
Cummins. Okay.
Yeah, I will go with Cummins at 8, a decent batsman as well, can tonk it as well. So that gives me batting depth. So, and he will also be my fourth and final overseas player as well. So number 9, I will have Kuldeep Yadav, the leader, support bowler to Narain. And the remaining two spots will be two Indian pacers, Shivam Mavi and Prasidh Krishna. Those two will be my preferred uh, two first preferred spots. But I have lots other Indian pacers as well. Sandeep Warrior, who did a very decent job, like Deepak Chahar with the new ball, ability to take the ball away from. So I will have him as a backup, like Sandeep Warrior, Nagar Koti. They have really rich wealth of Indian bowlers in their team, so that shouldn't be a problem. But for starters, I will go with Shivam Mavi and Prasidh Krishna, who are proven customers at the IPL level.
Got it. Abhinav, your bowlers.
So Cummins comes in at 8 again. He can tong the ball quite well. We see in the Big Bash League he's done it quite well for Sydney Thunders. So I think Cummins at 8, Kuldeep at 9. I'll have Prasidh Krishna at 10, and considering that it's the UAE and only three venues will be there, so the pitches are inevitably going to take spin. I'm going to take a third spinner in Manimaran Siddharth, the left arm spinner from Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
And if Kamlesh Nagarkoti is fit, he is my backup bowler.
Okay. So that he will be maybe in place of
The 12th.
Krishna, right?
No, if the pitches in the initial days, if the pitches are taking a bit of pace, then he replaces Manimaran Siddharth in the team. Otherwise, but the moment the pitches start turning big time, so I'll have Siddharth coming in as a third spinner in this
Okay.
side.
Okay. So I think Cummins walks into every team, so I don't think that can be questioned. After that, I also have Kuldeep. So Kuldeep is again uh, India's one of the leading spinners, so you can't really keep him out. And then I have Prasidh. So I would actually be tempted to look at Nagarkoti and Mavi maybe in ahead of Prasidh Krishna and see how they perform. But because their fitness is under doubt, so I have kept them out of my first 11. And then finally, I would want another spinner, and I have opted for Varun Chakravarti.
Interesting, interesting choice, interesting one.
So that would be my 11. So now let's start the discussion. So Bala, I think that has been a trend in your teams that you have always preferred pace to spin, and you are okay having just two full-time spinner in your team. So
Yes, and I have Rana as well, who can roll his arm over.
and a part-time
So
one. Yeah.
yeah, part timer. And yeah, as I said earlier, just for the sake of having spinners, I'm not a big fan of having them in the team, because in depth, I mean, as in general, Narain is a pale shadow of what he was 2 or 3 years ago, and Kuldeep is never a trustworthy person in as far as T20s are concerned to date. Yes, he has improved leaps and bounds, but he still has to get some variations under his armor to develop into a complete bowler. So Kuldeep and Narain will be my two best bowlers, and I will give some raw pace. I will go with some raw pace. So that's why I chose Mavi and Rashid Krishna. And in the death, anyways, first of all, I am not a great fan of Cummins in T20s. He's largely untested, and in death overs, this bowling attack will definitely struggle. 9 out of 10 times. And hence I thought of having a Loki Ferguson. But since the IPL has moved to UAE, where the tracks will suit Narain, so there is no other go but to play Narain in my team. Otherwise, I would have had Loki Ferguson, Morgan, Russell, and another overseas Cummins as my four foreigners. But since it's UAE and pitch will have significant turn where spinners will say a major say, I had to go for Narain as I had no other go. So and also Narain gives me the opening option as well. Hence, I went for Narain. If at all Loki plays in this team, this team looks balanced as well. Loki is a much improved death bowler nowadays, and he can hit the deck as well, and can nail Yorkers as well. That's the thing that I doubt with Cummins, whether he can nail the Yorkers perfectly, because he's largely untested at the death. To go with to answer your question about spinners, two spinners should be fine. Same Siddharth performed exceedingly well in the TNPL. Yeah, I was taking a note of that. I was following him very closely, but still, to straight away give him a game at this high level is kind of a gamble, I would say. So that's why I went with only two spinners.
Okay. But don't you think that most teams, as we discussed in our first podcast also, that a team would require at least 10 to 12 overs coming from spin, minimum 10 at least in this IPL?
Yes, that's what I said. Sure, spin will play a major say, but you should have depth for that. See, for example, if I have a Delhi squad, I can play Mishra, Ashwin, Akshar Patel, and Sandeep Lamishani, and they can give me 16 overs of spin, and they are all quality as well. But as far as KKR is concerned, they don't have spin resources except for these two. I mean, Narain and Kuldeep, and Rana can roll his arm over. I don't believe in Siddharth to a major say. That's why I didn't
And
go
Varun
for him. And
Chakravarti?
yeah, Varun Chakravarti is there, but I'm not convinced with him. He was handled easily by in the last season as well, and he didn't play this year TNPL as well. So he's terribly short of match practice, especially coming from an injury as well. The Praveen Tambe is there, but I don't know the controversy regarding him. There's
I
still
don't
cloud
think
over whether.
He's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
released. He's been released from the
yeah, he
squad.
has been released. Yeah, he has been released. And Chris Gain is allowed to play, has been free to play, but already there is a lock for four overseas
Hmm.
players have been locked. So I don't see Chris Green coming into this setup. So this is how 8 overs of spin should be enough for this bowlers, because in middle overs I will attack with Cummins and Prasidh Krishna, who both can hit the deck and make the life of the batsman uncomfortable. It's the death overs that 16 to 20 that this team I don't have any confidence on this team. But as far as middle overs is concerned, it the deck will be the new trend going forward. Like how now leg spinners are having a major say. In two more another 2 years, we will see it the deck bowlers controlling the middle overs, and leg spinners will slowly fade away. That's how I feel.
Okay. So, what would be? I'll propose one thing. So, let's say if Mavi, Nagarkoti, Prasid, and Warrior all are fit, would you consider dropping Cummins altogether and looking at an all Indian bowling attack?
Yes, if possible, I will drop Cummins and I will play Loki straight away in place of Cummins. But after having got him for 15C or 16C, I don't think they will bench him for sure. And after all, he's a reputed player, so he will start surely at any cost for KKR. This will be my starting 11. But if Cummins doesn't prove his worth in the death overs, why I am persisting or reiterating the fact death overs is because the death overs was their prime concern last season as well, and this season that is continuing. They haven't addressed in the auction table. They have got for big bucks for Pat Cummins without thinking that whether he can deliver the goods in the death overs. So I don't. If at first place Cummins will start at any cost after having bought him for 15C, 15.5 or something. There is no. I don't see any thing that is stopping him from playing in the first 11. But any day in T20s I will prefer Loki Ferguson ahead of Cummins any day. But that's my personal choice. But this 11 will start, in my opinion, because they are not benching Cummins at any cost.
Abhinav, what would be your views?
Bala is correct on quite a few counts, but why I chose the 11 that I did was because I am also a believer that because I actually I'm a Mumbai Indians fan. And they in the IPL have shown that pace is the way to that pace can be a way to win to win an IPL title. But I think because of the fact that there are only three grounds in the UAE, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and Dubai. All of them will be hosting 20 games each. The the pitches there will inevitably start breaking down, and they'll start crumbling. So for me, it's about the horses for courses strategy. Had the IPL happened in India, then I would have had no hesitation in playing a third seamer on this in this KKR side. But considering that it's the conditions in the UAE will take spin inevitably, maybe from the 10th or the 15th match onwards. They will have to bring in a third spinner, specialist spinner in the side. And Manimaran Siddharth's performance I had been following in the Vijay Hazare Trophy, and he did quite well over there, in fact. And that is what got KKR interested in him, because I think his performance in the TLPL, being coupled that with his performance in the Vijay Hazare Trophy, got KKR interested in him, because they needed that left arm. They needed a specialist left arm finger spinner in that side, because they don't have that. And I think they have to take a punt on him. So I think I would go in with Siddharth, but I also share the doubts that Bala has on Cummins, that we've not seen him bowl a lot of death over bowl at the death in the T20 format, and he's not played a lot of T20s in the recent past. So I think that there is a bit of an issue for him over there. But here's the thing: they have to play him, because big money being put on the bench does not look good for any team. It really, the moment you start putting a 15 crore player on the bench, it does not reflect well on the franchisee. So they will have to play with Pat Cummins. The fact they had to shell out the 15 crores was more about the fact that he was coming in with the reputation and the form that he was uh, having, especially in the test arena. He was coming with that amount of form that he had. But good thing is that he knows the KKR setup quite well. He has been a part of the KKR team before. In 2014, I think he was a part of the KKR side. He knows Brendan McCullum as well from the BBL days, and he knows David Hussey. And also, I think that is something that will play a bit of that may just help him ease back into the setup quite quickly. But again, it's the death overs that worries me up. And anyways, I have pacers. I mean, Cummins, Prasidh Krishna, and Andre Russell are a pretty decent pace attack on their own. So I think I can live with having three pacers of that kind, and having three spinners and Nitish Rana to just give me another couple of overs if need be in the bowling setup. So I would definitely be sticking with Manimaran Siddharth, because he could because he can bowl in the power play overs as well, and we have seen him do in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. At times he was bowling a lot of the power play, and he did quite well over there. So I think we can by using Siddharth in the power play overs, they can intelligently use have Cummins, Russell, and Prasidh Krishna bowl more towards the middle and the death overs phase of the innings. That's the thought process I have had in putting out three specialist spinners in my team, two pacers and a frontline pacers and a all-rounder pacer in Andre Russell.
Got it. So now let's talk backups. So let's say who would be your backup for Owen Morgan?
For Ian Morgan, I will bat, Banton at the
Bala,
top of.
a little louder, please.
Yeah, with for as a backup for Ian Morgan, I will bat Tom Batten at the top of the order, and I will push everyone one position down, so that Gill will bat at 3, and Banton and Narayan will be opening in my team if not for Morgan. So if not for Cummins, as I said earlier, Loki Ferguson, and in an ideal world, I would have played Loki and Cummins together. But since this is UAE, Narayan is inevitable in the team, so I cannot drop him. And that's it. There is no replacement for Gill. He's the must in everything.
What about you, Abhinav? Similar strategy?
Again, I would go in with Bala. I would use Banton as a Morgan backup, and everybody goes a position down, and but Gill sticks at number 3. And for Cummins, I'll have Lockie Ferguson, and they have Harry Gurney as well. So, and considering it's the UAE, and considering that Harry Gurney bowls a lot of those cutters and slower balls quite well, somebody like Harry Gurney would actually become very effective on those pitches. So I would probably say Harry Gurney as my backup to Pat Cummins.
Okay. And what about Rana? Who would be?
For Rana, there is Rinku Singh. I mean, as the greatest of all time for all KKR fans, I think Rinku Singh would be my replacement to Nitish Rana.
Okay. Bala, your?
Yeah, Rinku Singh is the direct swap with Rana. Rinku Singh has been, used as a very funky material on Twitter, but he is a very good player and has played numerous, crucial knocks for his state. So he's not a bad thing, but obviously Rana is of a top tier quality. But if at all there is any injury for Rana, Rinku Singh is the option.
Right. So another player that we have not talked about is Siddesh Lad. So what are
Yes.
your views? Can he make it into the 11?
No, at present I don't see him making into the 11 because Tripathi is proven customer as well. So if at all anything happens to Tripathi or if he gets is having an off season, then I will have Lad in place. Lad show is a great potential and but still a largely unknown quantity, but is of great potential and can take out the attack to the opposition as well. But at present Tripathi will be higher in the pecking order for me.
Okay. Uh, and uh,
Um,
and the big question: what if Russell gets injured? Does this team stand a chance then? Abhinav, your
Last
views?
year,
no,
I
done.
mean,
They're done. Russell is their X Factor player. If he gets injured, KKR are over and done before the tournament starts.
If Russell gets injured, that will affect their balance quite badly as well because Russell is their seamer as well. The next seamer, I mean, in the rank wise, I will rank Russell as my second seamer apart from the overseas fast bowler that I am playing either Cummins or Loki. So if Russell goes off, it will both affect their batting and bowling. Although they can manage with batting as well because Banton and Morgan, if plays in place of Russell, if Russell gets injured, I will have both Banton and Morgan playing, so that will give me some firepower at the top. But as far as bowling is concerned, they are definitely doomed because Cummins, Prasid, and Warrior or Mavi all are inexperienced to the death. So that's they can't even. I won't say they can't even defend. 3 overs, 50 runs from 3 overs. Looking at this state
Yeah,
of their bowling lineup.
great. So now let's talk about the potential of the team to maybe qualify for playoffs. So, what would be, would you back this team to play better and finish in top four?
Yes, all they need to do is just win six tosses and chase. They can chase anything. As I said, with this 4, 5, 6, 7, they can chase anything on their side. So just they need to win the toss and chase first, or if they are chasing for any 7 games, I back them to win at least six in them, and one game here and there defending. So that should be enough for them to qualify. But chasing team, they are still a chasing team, not an all-round team or not a team that I would bet to win the trophy, but they have the potential to enter the playoffs provided they chase more majority of the games.
So then it becomes more of a luck, you are saying, than potential.
Potential is there, but it should blend with luck for them to get the result.
Yeah. Avinav, your views?
I would say they have a chance for making it to the playoff because, and that is purely because of the sheer firepower they have in the middle order. I mean, Rana, Morgan, DK, Dinesh Karthik, and Russell make for a devastating 4, 5, 6, 7 because I mean they are all we have seen how destructive they can be on any given day. I mean, Russell does not need a second invitation to smash a few sixes out of any ground in the world. And Morgan is a fabulous, and Morgan is somebody like Owen Morgan will be a fabulous player for them, especially in the UAE, considering he plays spin better than many batsmen in this side. I think and that is going to be a very key factor of how they use somebody like Owen Morgan in this IPL, because I think the IPL has never seen the best of Morgan till now. I mean, he's hopped from franchisee to franchisees and hasn't really done a lot. I mean, he played for RCB, KKR. He played with KKR in their two title-winning seasons. Uh, then he's been with with Sunrisers. He's been with Kings 11, but he's never really performed well. So I think this is a very critical IPL for somebody like Owen Morgan to actually be able to put his stamp on the IPL for in a definitive manner. But their key is going to be Andre Russell, of how they manage, of how they keep him fit and keep his body bandaged together. Because the moment Russell breaks down, their entire team balance is going to go for an absolute toss. So the key for KKR to making it to the playoff is going to be the fitness of Andre Russell and how he is able to perform this season. Because if he is performing, I don't think any bowling lineup is going to stand a chance facing up to him. They'll not like the prospect of seeing Russell smash them all over the park and win KKR games from unimaginable proportions like last year. So I think Russell is the one key guy they have to keep it, because he keeps that squad balanced together. He holds the balance to that entire squad. Take him out, and this entire lineup will fall like a pack of cards.
True. So another player I would like to talk about is Rana. I think Rana has, for me, not been a consistent match winner for KKR. So that actually hurts them because that makes it too dependent on, let's say, a DK and a Russell to finish the game. So I think Rana needs to have a much better season as compared to a previous few, and that gives them a much better opportunity to qualify and maybe reach the final stages.
Yes, Rana to date is still a hit or miss player.
Bala,
The team was Yeah, am I audible?
yeah,
Yeah, Rana is still to date a hit or miss player and has been, not consistent enough. Although he has that hype going around him that he can be devastating player, which is true. I accept that, but he has been a hit or miss player. Rana has never batted below six, and his tally last year I think has 140 runs at an average of 35 and strike rate of 166. So that is quite a good number as of now. So in overs 16 to 20, he has scored 73 runs in 33 balls at an average of 24 and strike rate of 221, which is quite devastating. Although the sample size is small, he has proved that he has the ability to take any attack on his given day and smash them out of the park. So he has been, definitely a developing player, and this season there can be some. I am expecting him to do more consistently this season, as he is getting a permanent run. There is no question mark over his place in this season. Whether he turns, he will play 14 matches, I guess, as he has become part of that core of KKR. So this season, I expect him to hit more runs without any baggage.
true. And I think his inconsistency has is the reason that he has not yet made it to the Indian side also. So
Yes,
this
in
could be
Indian
his
side,
chance.
that's a different concept because it's Surya Kumar Yadav, who has been performing brilliantly, even didn't get a chance. It's not even possible for Rana to get a look in.
Yeah, so for
The thing
them,
with
then
Ran,
this IPL
sorry,
becomes very important because
hmm,
now there are two IPLs that would happen uh, within 9 to 10 months or even
hmm.
less. So in case these guys are able to take their teams to, let's say, a title win or that kind of a performance, that brings them into a proper contention for the Indian squad as well.
Yes, yes. The thing with Rana, I've noticed is that he often has a fabulous first half of the IPL and then immediately goes off the boil in the second half. So, because when he was in Mumbai in 2017, he had a fabulous first half of the IPL, got I think three or four half centuries in consecutive games. So I think, and by the time the second half of the IPL started, his form just fell off a cliff. And by the end of the IPL, he found he wasn't even in the playing 11 for Mumbai because his form had gone off the boil so much. So I think this is a very critical IPL for Rana to show that he can go on uh, perform consistently in all the 14 games of the IPL and not just in the first seven block of games and or the last seven block of games. He has to perform right through in this IPL and possibly try and churn out a 400, 500 run season so that he comes into the notice of the powers that be in the Indian cricket circle. Because otherwise, it is going to be very tough for somebody like Rana, despite all his talent, to break into the side. Because I think, unfortunately, the Indian T20 team seems to reward mediocrity a lot, and unless and until somebody like Rana really pulls out a proper season out of the bag and gets around 500 runs at a good strike rate, especially I mean if he is striking those 500 runs at a strike rate of 135, 140, and then I think it will force the decision makers to look at him very seriously. So he has to have 14 consistent games in the IPL, and if he is able to win them at least 5 or 6 games on his own, I think that would be able to take KKR very far in the tournament.
Right. So I'd like to finish with one last question. Given that the pitches in UAE will be slow and uh, it'll be hard to hit, do you think that becomes a more negative for KKR as compared to other teams, especially because they like to chase and they like to uh, put it to the end and depend on DK Russell to finish off games and uh, maybe even a required rate of, let's say, a 14, 15 is achievable, has been achieved by them in the past. So will they be able to replicate that kind of a chase or a success in UAE?
Yes, I don't. Yes, yes, yeah. I don't think that UAE pitches will be an hindrance to them because Russell. If anything, that should even more suit Russell's type of hitting because he stays deep in the crease and wait for the ball to gouge it to mid wicket or anywhere to for six. If there is a bounce, then he might struggle. But I don't see there is any bounce, true bounce in UAE kind of tracks. If it's Australia or even in a South Africa kind of thing where batsmen, I mean bowlers can trouble the Russell with the tech stuff, then that is might be a problem. But in UAE, that will again play into the hands of Russell and DK and even Morgan, who is a tonker, brilliant tonker of the ball. So I don't see any problem with them chasing big targets, even 18 or 19 runs per over in the last 2 or 3 overs, irrespective of the bowling attack.
Even I think that, because I think their entire middle order is one that can play spin bowling very, very well. I think Morgan is one of the best players of spin in world cricket right now. He plays he's quite adventurous with spin while playing against spinners as well. He often uses the reverse sweeps and all, and it does that very successfully against top quality spinners. Dinesh Karthik has often shown he can play spin very, very well, and Russell's hitting style of and the UAE pitches will actually be like Bala said, the pitches of the UAE will benefit Russell because he stays back in the crease, he hangs back a lot and it stays deep in the crease, so he gets to see the ball for a much longer period of time before he can before hitting. So I think that will be a very big advantage for him. The pitches in the UAE will, and anyways with somebody like Russell, the moment he starts getting some form, the pitches start becoming irrelevant at that from that moment onwards, because it then it doesn't matter for him who is bowling, what kind of bowling he's facing, or what kind of pitches he's batting on. He'll make all those factors redundant completely. So I think it'll not. I mean, for that power hitting middle order, it will not exactly matter a lot that the pitches in the UAE will take a lot of turn. In fact, they'll be glad for that, because I think that will give them, because the kind of players that they are against spin bowling, it'll actually be a benefit to them. It'll only aid them in smashing big totals against
Mm.
sides.
Great. So I think we can conclude that KKR would most probably, we think that KKR would most probably make it to the playoffs. But then after that, what happens is something to look at, because their bowling attack not being that strong, it is really difficult to maybe win crunch matches or win the tournament. So we would probably back KKR to make it to the playoffs, and then we'll see it from there. Would
Yes, I
that be the
think playoff.
conclusion?
Yes,
Yes, I will back them to make the playoffs as a fourth team at max.
yes, same. I would also think that they'll just about sneak into the playoff spots. They'll just about sneak in, and after that, anyways, the playoff just becomes a lottery ticket after that.
Yeah.
It's just on the day performance. Yes.
Exactly.
So great. I think we had a great discussion. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, Abhinav, for coming on the podcast. And we let our viewers decide which team they think is the best of the three. And
Yes.
obviously, they can comment and tell us if they think there is another team that is better than all the three that we have come up with. So
Hmm.
looking forward to comments from the users, and uh, probably a good run for KKR as well.
Yes. Pleasure being here. Let's hope so. KKR does well.
Okay, thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, Balaji. We'll wrap it up here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Sunil. Pleasure being here.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Abhinav. Bye.
Bye, Balaji. Bye.